Hi there, and welcome to our walkthrough of a transition to Google Analytics 4. If you're a Universal Analytics or Google Analytics 3 user, this is for you. We'll also explain how our readiness assessment works and why it's so important to setting the foundations for a successful migration to GA4. We'll cover some of the reasons why Google has rebuilt their platform, why we're experts in helping with the transition, an initial exercise we undertake to assess how ready you are for the change, and what's involved to design and deploy the implementation so you're set up for success, and also the next steps you can take. So why switch to GA4? Well, it's important to understand the history of Google Analytics to gauge why. It all dates back to 1997 when Urchin Project was founded by a small company called Web Depot who specialized in business development and web hosting. After attending a trade show in 2004, Web Depot networked with Google and agreed to rebrand Urchin as Google Analytics in November 2005. Hence, GA1 was launched. In 2007, Google released their new version of Google Analytics, which featured a new interface with email reports and detailed graphs, customizable dashboards, and plain language descriptions for easier use. Later in 2009, Google introduced an asynchronous version, enabling faster loading times with improved data collection. In 2012, Google released their new platform, also known as Universal Analytics. This new version included many features such as cross-platform tracking, multi-channel funnels, real-time reports, custom dimensions and metrics, and much more. And this is where we currently are. In 2020, Google introduced the all-new Google Analytics 4 in response to privacy concerns with a collection of customer data in Universal Analytics. This platform unifies the best aspects of Google's mobile analytics and Universal Analytics for better management of data. Some great features include its event-based model compared to sessions, cookieless measurement, conversion and behavioral modeling, just to name a few. For a long time, consumer privacy has been a hot topic, with governments all over the world passing their own bills in response to citizens' rights on data and security protection. With privacy in mind and certain global regulatory changes, including GDPR, some European countries have already started to ban universal analytics. It's of essence to use a platform that addresses these concerns, and Google Analytics 4 has introduced many controls to enable what data is being collected. Closer to our shores, the latest Optus breach is a further indication that governments are serious when it comes to this topic. We can only imagine not only the huge financial implication, but also the damage to brand reputation this has had on Optus as a result of having improper security measures in place. Furthermore, a recent breach to Medicare illustrates importance. Companies like Google are constantly under pressure and scrutiny to comply and safeguard consumer data. Google Analytics is no different. Google Analytics 4 was developed to better focus on customer privacy in response to GDPR, the California Consumer Privacy Act, or CCPA, and other acts around the world. This is why Universal Analytics will become obsolete and Google Analytics 4 will become the default version and sole option offered by Google. Universal Analytics will become obsolete as of July 1st, 2023. That's right. It's coming up soon. Marketers and businesses around the world are going to be panicked come July 2023. But thankfully, because we're having this conversation right now, this won't be you, hopefully. Fingers crossed. As of July 1st, 2023, Google Analytics will stop collecting data. Google has stated that you'll have access to your old Universal Analytics for at least 6 months, which means in 2024, that data may be lost for good. Anyone who hasn't migrated to the new Google Analytics 4 by this date runs the risk of no longer having access to website visitor and usage data to make business decisions, no longer being able to measure the effectiveness of their marketing efforts, it impacting advertising performance, losing their historic Google Analytics data, losing customer and market insights, and being unable to report results to key stakeholders like executives, board members, and investors. A couple of reasons to switch now include you'll have more runway with data quality improvements the sooner you implement. Consultants will be extremely busy and charge more as the migration deadline nears. You can set your strategy and measure it step by step in GA4. It wasn't as possible before. You don't have a choice. And you won't have data if you don't back it up elsewhere. We've researched a number of alternative platforms to GA4, such as Piwik Pro, Wix Analytics, Matimo Analytics, Fathom Analytics, just to name a few, and have found that GA4 is not only free, but also the best option in most cases. GA4 offers many improvements over Universal Analytics, including its privacy first, giving you more control over data. You can collect events automatically, have more parameters available, and more reporting options. The tracking code is much simpler to implement. Data deletion is easy and includes better data gap modeling capabilities. Events can be turned into conversions easily. It uses machine learning and introduces predictive analytics. There's less reliance on the interface with an easy data export into Google's own data warehouse, BigQuery. And it's also an opportunity to reset and refresh your marketing strategy and make sure measurement is aligned to it. Google Analytics 4 focuses more on a user's journey and the events that are triggered throughout it. The new data-driven model means that you can use a single set of metrics and dimensions to look at both web and app data. Having the ability to track a user that visits on their mobile, comes back on desktop, and then downloads, purchases, or registers through your website is a new feature ushered in by GA4. GA4 has many actions and events set up out of the box. These include clicks, scroll behavior, transactions, file downloads, and users' first visits. Form submissions and e-commerce goals may not automatically be set up. However, the process has been simplified, now requiring much less time to implement than previous iterations of Google Analytics. GA4 has predictive metrics that allow you to make data-driven decisions on a larger scale, helping you to better understand your audience. With these new metrics, you can create audiences based on predictive behaviors, allowing you to then target them in Google Ads or on social media. These new metrics allow you to both improve retargeting campaigns and improve website performance by creating custom funnels for different audiences based on behaviors and needs. We've been busy undertaking months of training, getting fully up to speed with the product, and have developed a number of processes to ensure you get the right implementation in place. It's also an opportunity to realign everything to your company's marketing strategy. I know personally, having managed a number of Google Analytics accounts over the past, just how messy things can accumulate over the years, with multiple stakeholders, past and present, changes of goals, website relaunches. It's a good time to start with clean data and align to your 2023 vision and company strategy. So who is Kwasi? Well, that's the business I started back in 2011. After working in the web industry since 1998, curiosity sparked when I was always asked about how do I get more traffic? How do I get more leads, more sales? I had no idea. I just built the site to spec with all the bells and whistles. They sure were pretty. So in Sydney, I transitioned from being a web applications developer to a technical search engine optimization consultant back in 2009 so I could learn how to answer those questions. I worked for some big brands and gained experience in understanding how important measurement was to be able to demonstrate return on investment, not to mention the success of various marketing campaigns. My approach has always been to start the conversation with revenue and work backwards, as revenue is arguably the single most important factor to keep a business running, and also being able to attribute it to your marketing efforts. Fast forward to today, with a team of 16 data-driven marketers, we often get referred to as the go-to experts in this space. Our promise is growing businesses, and our vision is to transform every client's website into their most valuable business asset. An important part of that vision is measurement. We need to be able to measure our marketing efforts and the overall performance of a website to demonstrate business growth in terms of traffic, leads, and sales. We've worked with a number of local, interstate, and international brands to help grow their businesses online. Here's our team of experts, including Penny, our loved happiness officer. Feel free to come by for a pat sometime, she'd love it. Our capabilities started with SEO as a core focus, but have evolved as our clients' needs have. We've extended that reach to include a comprehensive understanding of Google Analytics 4. Our approach is to act as a strategic partner for our clients, where we understand their business strategy and provide a holistic solution rather than individual marketing campaigns where we follow a set of simple instructions. Don't get me wrong, the latter is easier and still doable, but we get great results when we're seen as strategic partners. And accountability is very important to us with trackable KPIs. So it's paramount to have the right clean data set up at the very start to help measure outcomes accurately. This is why we've developed a comprehensive service offering to ensure that Google Analytics is installed in a way that meets your business's situation. Last year, we spent months across the team training, and I can say that we're proudly certified not only by Google, but also by Data Driven You, a comprehensive hands-on course developed by expert Jeff Sauer, who has been involved in training Google Analytics since its inception. We now have a plethora of resources at our disposal and are equipped to implement Google Analytics 4. It all starts with preparing correctly, where we assess how ready your site is. Remember, every circumstance is different, and it would be wrong of us to take a cookie-cutter approach. We need to make an assessment of exactly what we need to deploy. There are two use cases: a standard rollout, where your site is straightforward, has a low number of pages and simple conversion goals, probably most suitable for startups, small businesses. We do it all after the assessment. Or more of a bespoke rollout, which is suited for more complicated setups, such as e-commerce, sites with multiple goals, even multiple websites, and a more of an enterprise focus or software as a service, SaaS sort of focus. We take a deep dive here and make sure there's no stone left unturned. What's involved in our readiness assessment? Our Google Analytics 4 readiness assessment not only evaluates how prepared you are for the migration to GA4, the assessment and surface audit is a critical step to understanding your individual key needs to pull off a migration successfully. Since every business is different, this will help us understand where your business is at and help us to better estimate what's required in the design and deployment stage. So we'll scan through your website, we'll review your existing Universal Analytics account to understand the existing requirements, we'll review your Google Tag Manager account. Without doing a deep dive, that comes later in the full audit, we'll gain a surface level understanding of the amount of work involved. And then we'll score your setup based on general usage, state of the data, your current measurement strategy, team capability, data warehousing needs, complexity to migrate, current configuration, tagging setup, interface customization requirements, and reporting capability. We'll identify areas of improvement. Once we conduct the assessment and audit, we'll present a report that pinpoints any customer reports, metrics, goals, filters, or audiences that need to be included in the migration, any unique configurations that need to be migrated to GA4, any data quality or configuration errors that need to be fixed during the migration, the areas that most need to be focused on during your migration, your current readiness to undertake the migration. And all of this will enable us to confirm whether the solution you require is standard or bespoke. This is the design component. If a deployment is standard, we'll take care of this for you. If it's bespoke, we'll do it in conjunction with you. So what exactly are we designing? As part of our data audit and data review, we'll deep dive into the data you've got inside Universal Analytics and run through every report on your site to make sure you're configured properly. We'll provide a set of observations and instructions for fixing, or of course we can implement these for you in conjunction with your developers. As part of a rollout, we'll review the data monthly to ensure integrity and that everything runs smoothly. We'll also ensure your campaign tagging is consistent and you have a standard reference document for all stakeholders to use. Next, we'll review your current marketing funnel or coach you through setting one up. There are a number of different funnels, but generally everything, as a minimum, points to traffic, leads, and sales. We'll strategize a framework to measure your goals for the entire user journey. This can be done in one workshop or a series of workshops. The strategy session involves the marketing team and stakeholders. The workshop can be conducted in person or virtually via web conference. We'll then review both the findings from the data audit and measurement strategy workshop and provide you an estimate for deployment of Google Analytics 4 that meets your specific needs. Now we're ready to deploy Google Analytics 4. How exciting! This will happen in both the standard and bespoke scenarios. We will need to configure the GA4 platform and implement the most vital configurations to ensure it works properly. If required, work with key team members and stakeholders to recommend data policy. Implement any private and consent platforms to work with GA4 as needed. Implement the most vital settings for data quality, retention, and access control. We'll also migrate any existing Universal Analytics events and settings and configure GA4 against your measurement strategy. This involves developing a migration plan from Universal Analytics events and e-commerce, mapping all tag changes needed and providing code samples, configuring GA4 to accept new code and work with reports, training the team on how to utilize the new GA4 features they can now access. We'll get you set up in a new Google Tag Manager container that includes taking stock of all tags that need to be implemented to track your objectives, such as events, e-commerce, and any new items that may be identified as part of a measurement strategy. Developing a tag container that matches all needed tags as well as triggers and variables. Providing your developers with a complete list of tracking instructions for data layer implementation. Thoroughly testing the implementation with 2 rounds of review with the developers. We'll customize the interface to match your measurement strategy. We can either configure it to look like Universal Analytics, if that's your preference, although that may be overkill, as I'm sure there are reports and pages that you never use. We can ensure those favorite reports are accessible and even cater for different stakeholders that will use the platform. Customizing the interface applies to the bespoke deployment, whereas the standard deployment will have the standard GA4 interface. So those previous components are what we consider mandatory for a proper rollout of GA4. However, there are some additional optional components that can be included as part of the initial setup, included down the track, or not at all. Should you need access to your Universal Analytics data, remember, it will stop collecting after July 1st, 2023 and only be accessible for at least 6 months. Our expert team can move your Universal Analytics data to a data warehouse. It can be stored in several places, and we recommend Google's BigQuery. We can back up all historical data plus daily backups of Universal Analytics or GA4 data. Unified queries can be designed to link the data as one source in Looker Studio for seamless reports. If you use dashboards for reporting, which is what we highly recommend, we'll update your existing reporting dashboard to connect to the new GA4 data, or we can create a new dashboard for you. We'll take stock of all existing Universal Analytics dashboards, interviewing all your key stakeholders, and we can also convert dashboards not connected to Google Analytics to use GA4 data. If you have a preference towards monthly reporting, we can also assist with a mechanism so you can keep track of your goals and report back to your stakeholders. We have training, so you won't be left in the lurch, and can provide a few different options. First being do it yourself. This is where you do the training or follow our guidelines and then implement GA4 yourself. And you've got to remember to stay up to date with Google's official announcements for updates with each of their releases. Done with you, this is where we train you. We provide you with a 4-week course that is 2 weekly sessions where you will learn progressively and do the rollout with our support and be part of a cohort doing the same thing at the same time. You'll also be able to be certified afterwards. Or done for you. This is where we do everything for you and then train you on what's been done. By far the most popular option. So what will all this look like? Well, for one, you'll be fully set up with Google Analytics 4. This is what it will look like with and without our services. You'll be fully up and running. Getting started is easy. First, try and decide whether you need a standard or bespoke deployment. To help you understand the difference between a standard and bespoke deployment, we provided some pre-assessment considerations here. So standard is generally suited for startups and small businesses with one website, under 200 URLs, with one conversion goal, no need for historical Universal Analytics data, no need for training, and no need for reporting. You can always add these on later. Bespoke is more for e-commerce, SaaS, businesses with multiple websites, multiple conversion goals, specific event tracking requirements, a defined marketing strategy, multiple stakeholders, enterprise level, lots of historical data, and potentially the need to keep backups. Training is required, reporting is required, such as dashboards, monthly PDFs. Don't worry too much if you're unsure, as we can confirm this all with you during the readiness assessment. We'll organize a kickoff consultation with you to get a better understanding of your unique needs and key analytics stakeholders. During the kickoff, we'll ask you for access to your current Google Analytics account and Google Tag Manager if you have it. From there, we will undertake the technical components of our surface audit and readiness assessment. We compile all your results into an easy to follow report with your readiness score and outline key priorities for your migration to the new Google Analytics. This is a great opportunity to ask as many questions as you want, and we're happy to discuss how we can give you as much or as little support as you need with your migration. So step 1 is the readiness assessment for both standard and bespoke deployments and costs $1,200 plus GST. Step 2 includes the full standard deployment or the bespoke design phase for $4,800. This can be paid in 4 monthly installments of $1,200. Steps 1 and 2 come to a total of $6,000 plus GST AUD. Step 3 only happens for the bespoke deployment, where the more customized setup is rolled out, as well as any optional extras. The cost for this is determined and a proposal is sent through at the conclusion of step 2. So to summarize, with a standard deployment, you get the readiness assessment, a data audit, we do the measurement strategy for you, configure GA4, migrate from Universal Analytics to GA4, configure Google Tag Manager, and you will get the default GA4 interface, all for $6,000 plus GST. With a bespoke deployment, you get the data audit, a comprehensive measurement strategy workshop done with you, followed by a deployment plan and proposal based on our findings and outcomes of the workshop. We'll identify the optional extras you need, such as training, data warehousing and backup requirements, converting or setting up dashboards, updating your reporting if not using dashboards to plug into GA4 data, and customizing the interface to match your funnel, all for $6,000, and a proposal for the deployment that matches your custom needs. All right, so let's get your Google Analytics 4 deployment underway. Simply book a readiness assessment for $1,200 plus GST. So what are you waiting for? Get your assessment today by clicking the button below or visit go.kwasi.co/GA4 and get everything you need to prepare for a successful Google Analytics 4 migration. Thank you.